From splash proof to deep sea ready, this video is going to break down watch water resistance so you can choose the right timepiece for your lifestyle. And if you're like me, you've wondered, what do these water resistant ratings actually mean? Like, who came up with them? Who tests them? Why do some watches say 30 meters and others say 10 ATM? Well, this video has something for everyone, whether you're a beginner or an experienced collector. Not only am I going to break down what each water resistance mean, but also where do they come from, and hopefully you can learn something new in this video as well. Now, if you're new here, I'm Tyree, this is Wrist Unwound. We talk about where watches and stories meet. Always, there's gonna be timestamps down below, but if you jump ahead, make sure you hit like so the YouTube algorithm doesn't say that I suck at making videos too much. But let's go ahead, let's hop into the video. Now, those water resistance ratings, they can be a little bit confusing. You see numbers like 30 meters, 100 meters, 10 ATM, 300 meters, but what do they actually mean? So before we get into breaking down the depth of these meters, get it? Let's talk about the key terms. So the first key term I want to cover is ATM, which actually stands for atmosphere, and it indicates the amount of pressure that the watch can withstand. So 1 ATM is roughly equivalent to about 10 meters or 33 freedom-loving American feet. Now a bar, it's another unit of measurement, with 1 bar being approximately equal to 1 ATM. Now the question is, why do watch companies use these different types of measurement? And it really comes down to companies want to express their water resistance in different ways for several reasons. The first one is going to be marketing and consumer understanding. Using something like meters is the most intuitive unit of measurement for most customers. It directly relates to depth, making it easy to understand how deep a water can be submerged. However, it's confusing because a 30-meter water resistance does not mean a watch can go 30 meters deep. So then that's when we get into the other type of measurements. ATM, this is a more technical term, and it often is used to emphasize the pressure that a watch can withstand. It might appeal to customers who are a little bit more technical in their specifications, while you also have bar. Now this is another unit of measurement often used interchangeably with ATM because 1 bar and 1 ATM are about the same, but it does still provide a constant metric for technical comparisons. Next, we have some of the historical reasons. So different units have used historically in different parts of the world. So some brands might want to continue to use those traditional units for branding or just for historical reasons. The other thing could be clarity or specificity. Using multiple units like some watches do can sometimes help clarify the water resistance levels in different contexts. For example, a watch might be rated as 5 ATM or 50 meters, providing both technical and more easily understood information. The next one is going to be the marketing or branding. Some brands may use specific terminology to differentiate themselves or emphasize water resistance capabilities of their watches. And particularly, I'm looking at you, Blancpain, but we'll get into them a little bit more on later. But ultimately, the choice of units is the combination of marketing and technical considerations and just some historical factors. But the question is, what do they mean? So first up, let's go into the splash resistance category. This usually translates to 30 meters or 3 ATM/3 bar. So think about rain, hand washing, which you should wash your hands after every time you use the restroom before you eat. Just put that out there, hygiene. Or just a quick accidental splash. It's great for everyday wear, but definitely not for swimming or showering. Next, we have 50 meters or 5 ATM/5 bar. This offers a bit more protection, but not a lot more. This is going to allow you for brief immersions, but you still want to avoid swimming pools or the ocean with this level. So if you drop your watch in the bathtub or in the sink while washing dishes, it'll be fine, but you still want to, not go to a pool party per se and wear it when you get in the water. Now we're going to get into the useful cases, right? We're talking 100 meters or 10 ATM/10 bar. And this is a common rating for sports watches. This means that you can swim or snorkel with confidence, but you still don't want to go deep sea diving, Plus, are there any deep sea divers on this channel watching? If you are, drop a comment down below. I'm just interested. But this is why your perfect sports watch, gotta watch, go anywhere, do anything watches typically have 100 meters. Because in 99% of what we're covering in daily life, these watches are gonna cover it. And plus, even if you had a watch with 500 meters, most people don't actually dive anyway. But if you dove with your watch, let me know down below. Now for the serious divers out there, we have 200 meters or 20 ATM or bar. This level is perfect for recreational diving or water sports. This allows you to explore the underwater world, So if you go to SeaWorld with the family and kids and you want to swim with the stingrays, this one's going to work out. Or if you're going to a snorkeling museum, which I've seen one of those actually in Jordan, I think it's Aqaba. You know, this is the kind of watch that you can wear for an event like that and get that underwater wrist check. Next, let's dive deeper and get the number bigger with the big leagues. Let's talk about the 300 meters and beyond. Now, did you get the pun, the dive deeper? Okay, we'll keep going, So these are usually found on professional dive watches that are built to withstand extreme depths and pressures. These watches are seriously tough and really can handle pretty much anything that you're gonna throw at it. And not that many professional divers are wearing these type of dive watches, but whatever you're going through in your life, they're gonna be able to handle it. Now, I would say that 99.9% of dive watches never go anywhere close to this depth, but it's just cool to know that you have the resistance if you need it. But anything above 300 meters is really just showing off at that point. And I'm looking at you, Luminec, and I'm also looking at another company. You might have heard of them. They end in EX. They rhyme with Timex, but not Timex. Yeah, I'm talking about Rolex. And you see, the deepest that I was able to find about watches, water resistance, is actually gonna be the Rolex Deepsea Challenge, which I guess in the name, it makes sense that it would dive deep. There's a deep sea challenge, which rode though with James Cameron's experimental submersible to a depth of 10,898 meters in 2012. However, the deep sea challenge is actually rated to 12,000 meters, which means that it is literally nowhere on the earth that you can take it diving, which will actually exceed the depth rating. So I think they just want to flex their muscles to show that they have a watch that can go to the end of the ocean, but I don't know about this watch in particular, because this watch is more of a tool than a watch. Like a tool watch. I'm really trying with the dad jokes. I hope you get the puns. Anyway, so this watch is actually 51 millimeters in diameter and 28.5 millimeters thick, which is like wearing a small weight on your wrist. But if you're into that kind of thing, congratulations. I guess in water it wouldn't weigh as much, but then if you went that far down, the pressure would probably crush you. I don't know. Don't know why you would make a watch this deep, but they did. So maybe it's just because they wanted the challenge. Deep sea challenge. All right, we'll keep going. But there's always one that has to be different, and this is where I come back to you, Blancpain. You've probably heard of the 50 fathoms. And so a fathom is actually a unit of length that is equal to about 6 freedom-loving feet, or 1.83 meters. Now, the 50 fathoms is a watch that can go to equivalent depth of about 300 feet or 91.44 meters of water. The use of fathoms is actually often associated with historical or nautical context. It's a unit of measurement that is used for centuries to measure the depth of the sea. So tying this back to the beginning, this is just one of those examples of a company using a different historical context or something that makes them different in their marketing. Now, lastly, the question is, who gets to determine how deep a watch can go? What does the process look like? Is it just a company just splashing some water on it and be like, 300 meters, right? There's a lot more to it than that. So taking it back to the beginning, it's pretty scientific. It all comes down to something called the Ingress Protection Rating, or an IP rating for short. Think of this as a standardized system that tells us exactly how well a device is protected against both solids like dust and dirt, and liquids, specifically water, but it could be beer or vodka or Jello, I guess, but I guess that's more of a liquid and solid. Maybe not Jello, but you get the point. Before any testing happens, companies design their products with their water resistance in mind. So they're gonna use different computer models and design it with different seals, gaskets, or engineering such as screw down case backs or screw down crowns to keep the water out of the electronics or the mechanical movement that is inside. And they decide what level of protection they want to achieve in the design process, whether it just be from a few splashes or to a full dunk, or in Rolex cases to go to the bottom of some oceans that exist on other worlds. Then comes the real test, the independent testing. Companies will send their products to these specialized labs. Think of them as like a gadget water torture chambers, kind of like waterboarding for watches, where they undergo a series of rigorous trials, and these labs are certified to follow international standards so that the results are consistent and reliable across the world. So what kind of torture test are we talking about? I guess it kind of depends on the desired IP rating. There are dripping water tests where the device is just subject to a steady drip. And then this kind of simulates like light rain. Then there are spraying water tests where the water is sprayed at different angles and pressures. For higher ratings, they even have a immersion test where the device is submerged in water at specific depths for a set amount of time. And for the really tough stuff, there are these high pressure jet tests simulating like the powerful blast of water. The IP rating itself is made up of 2 different digits. The first digit tells you about protection against solids like dust and dirt, or you name it. The second digit that's going to be more what we're interested in today. That one tells you about water protection. For example, you get a watch that has an IP67 rating. What that means is the device is dust tight, which is going to be the first digit, and can survive being submerged in up to 1 meter of water for 30 minutes, which is a 7. There's an entire chart if you want to look into that more, or you want me to break that down in further depth, let me know down below, but that's generally kind of the breakup of what those different numbers mean. Now, what you might also see is an X. If you see an X instead of a number, like a rating of an IPX8, it means that the particular protection wasn't tested. In this case, the first one is the X for the physical, so in this case, there was no solid particle protection tested on the device. However, the 8 shows it is protected against submersion in water deeper than 1 meter, right? So when you're looking at these IP exams, just understand that there's different ways of looking at it. There's a whole scale, there's a whole website, check it out, but hopefully that gives you an overview so you can better understand it. But at the end of the day, remember, water resistance is not permanent. Seals can deteriorate over time, and impacts can compromise the watch's integrity. So make sure you're keeping up regular maintenance is the key to keeping your timepiece actually water resistant. And always refer to the manual spec guidelines, because I'm not a doctor, I don't want to ruin your watch, so don't come to me if you do. So now you have it though. Here are the secrets behind water resistance ratings. Now you understand what they mean, where they come from, and hopefully you have a better appreciation and background to it. And if you learned something in this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe. And if you want to see more tips and tricks in the future, make sure you might hit the bell icon or just stay around. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, I really just appreciate you being here. You gave me your most valuable resource, which is your time. Because you could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to spend your time either watching or listening to my video. And for that, I'm incredibly thankful. So that I hope that you, your family, are protected from water and everything in the future. And I will hope that you guys are entirely blessed. This is Tyree. God bless and peace.